Hello, beautiful listeners. Welcome back to the series of embodied coaches coming on, speaking their truth and sharing their mission and their gift with you. I'm really, really excited to be sharing with you my guest today. She's actually in the middle of doing the embodied coach. We are, I believe, at week 9. And this is so fun for her to actually share her experience of what the embodied coach has been like, because it's so fresh. Like literally tomorrow we're having our 9th or 10th call, and you've already had such incredible transformation and results. So without further ado, my loves, this is Priscilla Charles. Hi.
Hi, Sarah. How are you? Thank you for having me on.
I'm so excited. It's such a different dynamic now. Like, it's just so interesting. Like, I've never interviewed a client while they're in the process of the embodied coach.
Yeah, it is a different dynamic. And I was super excited when you asked me about it, because I feel like first and foremost, this is something that I have always been wanting to do. And, apart from starting my business, I feel like I've always done what I'm doing, but I just did it freely. I did it without like an agenda of it becoming a business. And, ever since I've hired you, it's just kept me accountable. It's catapulted me into confidence, into breaking my limited beliefs. And it's just been really, really great. So I'm excited. And we're only like a little bit more than halfway done with the program, but it's been really amazing. So thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you. So with that being said, tell us what it is that you do and how you got into the work that you're doing.
Sure. So my name is Priscilla Charles. I'm based out of Houston, Texas, and I am a mindset and wellness development coach. And, I have, it's called Arrive Your Mind. And that's also the name of my podcast, which I started before I started my coaching. And pretty much what I do and I love to do is help people develop healthy habits and pretty much become a better version of themselves that they already know they can be, right? And for me, what got me into this space was, first of all, making that transformation myself. And I'm so big on, when I'm talking to my friends, when I'm talking to my colleagues, or just really anybody really, I always say, look for people who have done what you're trying to do. I don't necessarily like, if I want to learn about a business, I'm not going to go look for people with degrees in business that don't have their own businesses. I'm going to look to people who are doing it, have done it, have failed over and over, and all of a sudden they're succeeding because they know what it takes. And that's how I look at everybody when I'm trying to gain value from them. It's like, I want to be in this space where people have done what I'm trying to do. I.e., for example, you're a perfect example of that. And so I really had this huge passion of starting to teach people healthy habits and ways that they not only can become healthier, but happier as well, because it happened to me. I went through a huge health transition. I lost a lot of weight. I got into working out. And without getting, too deep into that story, I have a couple podcasts that you can listen to on Arrive Your Mind if you want to get more into detail on that. It started from something. It started from me wanting to lose weight and being healthy, to me just transforming my mind and my life. And it really just dominoed into every aspect of my life, my love life, my family life, my boundaries, my friends. And I was just documenting it on social media. I love to be creative. I love to document all my my cooking, my working out, when I'm inspired and I want to share like advice. And people just, started gravitating towards me. And, when it comes to giving advice and helping people form healthy habits, I've been doing this for so long that it only made sense to start doing it as a business, because it brings me so much joy. So that's, a little bit in a nutshell what I do. I'm a mindset and wellness development coach. So helping people pretty much develop healthy habits. I don't just want people to lose 20 pounds in a month or, meal prep. I want them to create a life that makes them happy. And it really does start with how we take care of ourselves.
Yeah. As you were speaking, I wrote this down because I wanted to make sure I communicated it with you, but you, Priscilla, are everything right about the coaching industry. And the reason I say that is because I think that there is a little bit of like this dark cloud entering into the coaching industry because people are seeing that there's opportunity to make a lot of money.
Yeah.
But when you go into it with the soul, like I just see a way to make quick money, like it takes away from the true essence and the true transformation and the true power that the coaching industry is. And when I coach you and when I listen to you speak, you're just everything right about this industry. Like you care so much, not about just collecting the money, but like your clients and their results and how their life, like their well-being, their livelihood, the success, like you care so much. And I know that that is one of the reasons why attracting clients has come so easy to you, because people can feel how in integrity and embodied you are in the work that you do. And I mean, that's a huge piece of being an embodied coach, right? It's like being so deeply aligned and in integrity with the work that you do that people are just like, whatever she's doing, I need to learn more. And I'm so happy and excited to pay this person to teach me.
Yeah. I appreciate that so much. It really just, I'm big on affirmation, for myself and for others. I love to speak affirmations to people because, as much as people say, no, we shouldn't need validation, it's healthy. And I tell my clients that it's healthy to get validation. That's why you hire coaches, right? It's healthy. You want to know you're on the right track. You want to know that you can do it. When it becomes our identity for other people to do that, and that's our sole identity, that's when it becomes unhealthy. But I really appreciate those words. And it's really interesting how in the moments that I'm kind of down, that's when the messages flow in from people. I got a voice message yesterday from somebody I met on social media. She's my friend off social media, and she was just encouraging me out of nowhere. And I was like, wow, it was really sweet that you sent me this. Yeah. So I appreciate when people affirm that. But I think also what I've seen with the whole wellness industry and people becoming coaches is that I feel like the sense of accountability has almost been lost.
Yeah.
Because people are focusing a lot on balance and on, loving yourself where you're at. And while all that is great, I feel like, because again, I went through this, and I'm only talking to people that are unsatisfied with themselves. If you're happy and you're doing whatever it is you're doing and you're happy, then you don't even need to, reach out or like listen to this, right? But if you're not happy, it's not going to go away overnight. That's just a sign that you really have work to do, work that is going to take you to fulfillment with yourself. And I feel like a really healthy aspect is to have accountability and to make those changes and to stay consistent. And so I think the fact that I pair that with grace, and I pair that with, being able to hold space for my clients, not, it being so black and white, everybody's different. But I think the loss of accountability is like this big thing now. And I think that the greatest way we can take care of ourselves and become happy is when we really develop healthy habits and actually change. And so that's a big part of my process when I, have my one-on-ones and my coaching calls with my clients. So I think that also sets me apart a little bit. And, it's the proof is there. So
yeah. And something that you're huge on is devotion. And it's seen, it's felt, it's witnessed. And I know that the listeners, right? Like there's probably this little like voice in their head that's like, I want to do these things. I want to be a better version of myself. I want to start the business. I want to go to the gym. I want to eat better. Like they want to be that next level version of themselves. But that little disconnect of like staying consistent in it is so challenging.
Yeah.
So as an expert in that, like what would you tell the person who is feeling like how can I just stay consistent in this?
Yeah. And that's a really, really good question. And it's one that I get quite often. And I always pretty much gravitate towards like, I always tell my clients, I'm like, give yourself permission to tell yourself no in that moment, and give yourself time to process, like, do I want, whether it be you're reaching for something that is not going to make you feel so good after you eat it, or skipping a workout, or not being consistent in your bedtime. Cause I'm also big on getting really good rest. That goes hand in hand with health, right? Anything, even in their business, whatever it is, the goals that they're setting for themselves. And I say, ask yourself, is this going to add value? And is this going to help me get to where I'm trying to go? Or is this just going to help me feel really good in the moment, and then I'm going to feel really bad and regretful afterwards? And it's not to, associate shame and guilt in those choices. It's just that I'm holding space and keeping them accountable for who it is they're trying to be. And you have to say no, and you have to say yes to things, and you have to say no to things. And it's not necessarily making certain choices bad or the enemy, but it's much more going into creating that healthy habit of consistency and telling them, hey, you're already here. You just have to do the things that are going to get you here. The timeline already exists. You are already that version of yourself. But if you have to live as that version of yourself to get there, to meet yourself. And I think when I connected in that way, most people don't really think about that at first. And they're like, man, I have to let them know, you are already that person. You just have to live like that. You can't expect to become that person without those habits. And I think that kind of changes their perspective. And then another big thing with consistency is I really pretty much break down and create the groundwork for them to fall in love with the progress, to fall in love with the mundane tasks, to fall in love with the routine, because that's all we have. Yeah. And once we reach a level, we're just going to, especially my clients and just people in general that start achieving goals, there's just another one. There's just another one that you're going to want to achieve, and another one. So it's like, if you don't really learn to fall in love with the progress, then in the consistency, then you're already, that's like half the battle. So I really do the groundwork there. I really get deep into kind of like teaching them to unlearn or unlearning things that they feel like they have to do to get to where they want to go. And I'm like, nope, we have to fall in love with these routines. You have to fall in love with consistency. And that's something that I teach my clients as well.
Yeah, that's incredible. And it's so true. Like something that I wrote down when you were speaking was like being more intentional and mindful throughout your day, because it's so easy to live in autopilot, right? Like our minds are just softwares, and we're just operating from that software. But when we have that 5% of consciousness, and we can expand on that, right? Yeah. Take control over the actions we're taking, like that's where the true magic lives. I was actually speaking on this to my audience today about like how to reach your first 6 figures. And the most simplest answer there is show up as the version of you who built a 6-figure business. Like be her now. Like you said, that version of you is available, but do you have the commitment and the devotion to show up and take the actions that she would?
Yeah. That's so important. And I love whenever you like express that and explain that in your business, because it correlates so much even with health. And I tell my clients, like my 2 clients that I've gained since I started being one of your students, both of them are entrepreneurs. And I tell them, look at the way you treat your business. Look at the way that you are so successful and you show up for your business. Health and wellness is the same thing because you're showing up for yourself and you can only 10x from there. Could you imagine if you were a healthier version of yourself, how much more your business would grow because you're just keeping your commitments to yourself, you know? And I always tell them too, because one of my clients, she has this fear in her. And I'm like, is it like a fear of success? Like what are you fearful of? And I tell her action moves emotion. In the moment, we don't want to do things that we don't want to, break the cycle of our comfort zone. But if it's messing with your mind and you can be better and you're miserable, why not? Like, what do you have to lose? What do you have to lose? You're already down. You already feel like you're not your best version of yourself. Like, what do you have to lose other than changing your habits? You already have habits, but they're not serving you. So why not create new ones that are going to actually make you feel good? And so that's a big one for me. I tell them action moves emotion. So you got to just take charge.
That is so good. I got chills when you said that. That is really powerful. And that honestly sparked a question about your own experience of like facing the hard things inside of business, right? Like, because you've got the health and wellness and the body, mind, you've got that on lock, right? That's what you teach your students. But going into business for yourself was an entirely different beast.
Yes.
So talk to us about some things that you've had to overcome in building your business.
Sure. So there's so many things, there's so many challenges. I'm like, where do I even start? And I feel like it's exciting to share these things because I feel like, there's going to be people listening and they're going to be like, oh my gosh, she feels the same way too. Like, I'm not alone. And I think that's like so beautiful. That's like the best gift you could give somebody is letting them know, like, you're not alone. And if I could do it, you could do it. Right. But, I think, one of many, I'll share is that I really had like imposter syndrome. I struggled really bad with imposter syndrome. And I know everybody has like different kind of versions of it, but for me, and then you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is imposter syndrome. I just felt like, who am I? Even though I had done it in my life, I have transformed my life in leaps and bounds in my mind, my body, my choices, everything, the way I think. I just felt like, who am I? Like, people are going to look at me, or I specifically struggled with people that I know personally, people that, I mean, it's so weird, right? And it for some odd reason, it's people that I don't really even talk to, like these random people that I have, like, I don't even have like really an intimate relationship with, whether it's a friendship or anything like that. And I'll be like, oh my God, they're going to think I'm so stupid. And in my mind, I'm like, why do you think that? Why are you projecting these things on people when they might be looking at you and they might be inspired, which is usually the case.
Yep.
And so everything really, even when I would think that it was external, it was really internal. And I really struggled, and you can attest to this. Like, I was 1 foot in, 1 foot out when I first reached out to Sarah. And the only reason I didn't want to go through with it was because I knew, hey, I'm going to pay for this. If I sign up for this, I'm going to have to follow through. Yeah. And I was scared at the beginning. I chickened out for like a couple of months and then I came back. But it was really because I was scared of my own potential. Like, I was scared of failure and my potential. And I was like, you're already doing this for free, pretty much. You're talking to people, you're inspiring people, you're teaching people, you're creating content, literally everything under the sun, except charging and doing it, as an income stream and calling myself an actual coach. Yeah. So I really struggled with that. I struggled with what people would think. And then in reality, it's just like all in my mind. I had to really dig deep and ask myself, why am I projecting this onto other people? Like, what do I believe about myself? So that was one.
Well, I want everyone who resonated to just like let that land for a moment, because now where you're at, Priscilla, where, yeah, I'm sure it still comes up and it's still alive, right? Like it's really hard to like beat imposter syndrome.
Mhm.
However, you did not let imposter syndrome beat you. Like you said, okay, like I have these fears, I have these worries, and yet I'm
Right.
still going to conquer this because I know on the other side is my mission, is my purpose, is people who like need my help.
Right.
And I know there are so many people listening who are exactly there right now. They're
Yeah.
like, I really want to do this, but who am I? And what about those girls from high school? Like, what if they see? And I don't know, like if I go all in, then I have to go all in. And that means I have to put myself out there in new ways. Like, you guys, everything that Priscilla just said, I know you're feeling that.
Yeah.
And talk to us about what's on the other side and like the transformation and the results.
It is honestly, I'm speaking to anybody that's listening right now. If you struggle with the same thing or something similar, because it all really is connected, it's all coming from the same root usually.
Yeah.
But I would just say, again, the way I tell my clients, action moves emotion. And the only way that you're going to conquer it is by taking action and diving deep into what you want to do, and just say, you know what? It does not matter. Like it only exists in my mind. And if somebody does come out and say something rude, which probably is not going to happen,
Totally.
then you'll just deal with it. Like, who cares? Keep it moving. Like, okay. And like, I feel also like it's created so much confidence in me because I've kept my commitments. Right. And I mean, hiring a coach is so important. And, you need to have somebody that's going to keep you accountable. You need to have somebody to tell you you can do it. You need to have somebody to give you, even, advice when it comes to, hey, you should create an LLC or what, even like not logical, like the logistics side of things, but it's been really amazing for me. And I feel so proud of myself. And I've never said that. I've never been able to say, I feel so proud of myself without feeling like I was being conceited or feeling like it felt wrong. It's breeded such a confidence in me and saying, no, like this is who I am. And I don't care what people think about me. Most of the time, people are really cheering for you. Most of the time, we really don't have haters. Like they're far and few in between, if any. It's just our own, what's the word? It's on the tip of my tongue. It's our own insecurities, right? And it's our own fear of our potential and failure. And once you get in your groove and once you become accountable to somebody, it's like, oh, well, because, Sarah, I have to meet with Sarah next week. So I can't care what people think about me because I'm going to have to tell them that I created my, my email list or that I created like my masterclass suite. Like I'm going to have to tell her. So, oh, well, you know what I mean? Like, that's how I would think about it. Like Sarah's going to ask me, and what am I going to tell her? I didn't want to do it because I don't want to be judged. No, like I can't, and that's like a really fun way. I mean, it's a very real way, but it's also a fun way to think about it. When I started looking at this also like a game, you know what I mean? Like I'm my own character in my life and I get to create whatever I want. So if you really love what you're trying to do, like don't let that insecurity hold you back. Just go for it. And it's crazy too, because I just thought about it. I was about to say something and I lost my train of thought. I think, so just to tie it in really quickly, another thing that tied in with my imposter syndrome as well is because my life has changed so drastically. And, like I hardly drink anymore. And that's a disclaimer. I'm not telling anybody not to drink. It's just like my thing, right? It's like, I hardly drink anymore. If I go out, I'm really mindful about it. It has to be intentional. My life has completely turned around, right? Even from my love life, like my boundaries have changed, the way I like to spend my time has changed. And I've been really intentional with who I am because of what I'm doing. And I always want to be who I say I am. I want to lead by example. I don't want to be a wellness and mindset coach and my life looks totally different, right?
Mhm.
And so that's literally like how I show up online is who I am. And I don't share every single part of my life, you know, because I like to keep some things private, but for the most part, it's who I am.
Yeah.
And I think one of the biggest struggles I had was people knowing me before my lifestyle change, you know, thinking, oh my God, like, you know, 7 years ago, I got drunk and I da 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 da. Like, you know, like all these memories come pouring back in when people
Yeah.
probably aren't even thinking about that. You know what I mean? And that was a really hard thing to get over. But now, you know, the same people you think are judging you are the people that are coming to you for advice and saying you're so inspirational. So, okay, I'm sorry. I don't know if I went off on a tangent.
No, that was so beautiful. And I love that you said it's just who I am. And that stuck with me because that's being an embodied coach, you know, like you're not just preaching, like you're practicing, you're doing the work, you're holding yourself to the standards that you would your clients, you know, and I think that's really, really important in this industry and as a collective for us to understand that, like, if we want to attract clients, we've got to be the client we want to attract first.
Yes.
And I have chills all over my body when I say that, just because like I'm seeing you in front of me and I'm like, oh wow, like you're my dream client. And like I wouldn't have been able to attract you if I wasn't fully in integrity with what I do. And I know that that's the same with your clients as well. And it's so important. And I just love it. I love the ripple effect that we have.
Yeah.
And
Definitely.
something that I also want to mention, because again, most of the listeners are entrepreneurs or thinking about going into business for themselves. And I think that there's this limiting belief in the coaching industry that's like, oh, if I'm not teaching business or money or success, like it's harder to attract clients. And you're the most like perfect example that it's not true.
Yeah.
And the example that it doesn't actually have to take a long time. You know, like you've obviously been nurturing a relationship with your audience for some time, but like the moment you stepped into being in business and saying, all right, I'm ready to actually attract clients, like they came. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because you have a very, very intentional and very subtle way of selling to your audience. And I know the people listening are like, yeah, I hate sales and I don't want to sell and blah, blah, blah.
Same.
Yeah. And if you are this person, you guys, please go follow Priscilla and just watch, just observe how she casually, very like subtly sells to her audience. And in a matter of 8 weeks, you've signed 2 clients.
Yeah, 2.
Your first client was 2,000. Your second client was 3,000.
Was 3,000. Yeah.
I mean,
and it was only 2. It would have been 3, but he wanted to do 8 weeks instead of 12, and I was like, that's fine. You know, why not? So I still count it as like the 12-week, but because he wanted shorter. But I mean, I mean, I'm not even done with your program, with your classes or anything, and that's how quick it was. Like I literally, and I wouldn't have done this if I wouldn't have signed you. Like, and I'm really like being so sincere about that, you know.
Yeah, that means. But seriously, you guys, like if you are someone who's like, I don't want to have a big, huge, giant launch, like, you know, I'm like a big, huge, giant launch girl. Like that just, it feels fun for me. It's exciting. But you also have like other things going on in your life. You know, you've got a 9 to 5 and like, there's other things going on. So maybe a big, giant launch isn't good for you, isn't aligned for you. And again, like you don't have to do it that way. This is all about like building a business by design, not by like a step-by-step what you're supposed to do because this guru told you, you know. And yeah, it's just been beautiful to witness like you develop and find your alignment in your process of selling and signing clients, because yeah, it's just, it gets to be different for everyone.
Yeah, it is different. And And it's true. And I would be lying if I didn't say I am still scared of being salesy. And, but the thing I love about you, Sarah, is that you teach intuitive selling, right? And I love that you hold space for us to where, hey, you don't really have to do this if you don't want to. I'm giving you this as an option. This is a resource. This worked for me. But I like that you give us the space to kind of explore that. And even for me in the way I am, I'm kind of like, okay, let me just put it out there. And yesterday, I had put something on my story about, I had put, when I was done with the first call of my second client, and somebody wrote me, this girl wrote me that she's always like, I'm always interacting with her. She's really sweet. And she was like, how do I sign up for your coaching? And because I have a 9-to-5 and because I already have 2 clients and then I have my coaching calls with you, I was like, this is the perfect time to introduce group coaching. Right. So it's like, then I told her, I said, hey, I was like, I'm working on group coaching. I'm opening it up soon. I said, I have really limited space for one-on-ones. I said, and I'll be opening that back up in August. I said, but the group coaching is coming really soon. And she's like, I'm really excited. Please let me know. And so like, I'm practicing everything that you've been teaching me, even in those moments when they're reaching out to me. And, I'm just, anybody that's listening to this right now, I'm just encouraging you to just continue to like put yourself out there. Yeah. And the more you put yourself out there, the more confident you're going to be. And you're speaking to somebody that was absolutely not confident about putting myself out there. And now the more that I do it and the more that I feel people being receptive, the more I'm like, I got this. I really got this. Like, I just have to keep, practicing it. So
yeah, I call it ripping the Band-Aid off.
Yes.
Oh, that's so amazing. Okay. So I'm going to ask you a couple more questions. One,
Okay.
I ask to every single one of my podcast guests, which is, how can the people listening to this, how can they start to make their success a more pleasure-filled experience?
Their success more pleasure-filled experience. And do you mean like in their business, like success in their business, success in their life, or
success in life? Yeah, it's all intertwined.
Man, that's such a good question. I've never been asked that and I've never thought about that, but on the spot, I will say, from experience, I think celebrating your wins, no matter what it is that you're succeeding in, business, life, relationship, love, signing a client, hiring a coach, everything is a celebration when it's adding value to your life. And I would say to celebrate it, no matter how you want to choose that. And then also make sure that your celebrations feel good and are also adding value to you. And recognize it and be proud of yourself and say it. I am proud of myself. You know what I mean? And for it to become more like success to become more pleasurable is like, allow yourself to feel good for those wins, take some time to recognize yourself and then continue to do those same things over and over and over and just kind of see how it feels in your body, because that's how when I'm, this weekend was a little bit rough for me and I was so discouraged. And as soon as I started doing the things that make me happy, which is creating content, listening to the playbacks of my calls with Sarah, like starting to brainstorm on new podcast episodes, those are the things that make me happy. And so I feel like the more I succeed in the things that I'm doing and that my goals are set in, the more I'm creating things that make me happy, and they all intertwine with each other. So I would say continue to take action and celebrate. Just do what makes you feel good and make sure it's adding value to you as well. Yeah.
I'm like totally smiling and giggling over here because I interviewed a Embodied coach alumni earlier today, and she said the exact same thing. And I'm like,
are you serious?
I swear to God, she said, celebrate everything. And I'm like, these are my clients. Right? Like I make sure that you guys celebrate everything, because let it land. You've got to let yourself land in the life that you're living now, or else you're on this constant hamster wheel of chasing and feeling not enough in the present moment. And you are, and do what feels good. Go to your pleasure menu, right? Go to your pleasure menu and pick something off of that and say, oh, like this feels really nourishing for me right now. And I am treating myself.
Yeah, I love because I'm and currently I'm single, and I'm like in this place where I'm like really happy. And I literally will take myself on dates. I'm like, Priscilla, like you're always in gym clothes. You're always like dress up, feel pretty, and go sit at a bar somewhere, order food, order like something super expensive. The money's gonna come. Another side note, I have to say this, I know you haven't asked me, but like apart from the business coaching, Sarah has helped me so much in my money blocks. I had so many money blocks. Some I knew about and some I didn't. And I feel like now that's one of the biggest reasons that I feel like not only in my coaching, but also in my job, in my 9-to-5 career. I mean, I have had so many leaps when it comes to income, like streams of income and the amount of money that I'm earning now because of the work that I've been doing with Sarah. So I just had to throw that in there because it would be so unfair if I didn't. So
yeah. Thank you. That means so much, because that's, it's so important for everyone who maybe isn't in business for themselves, that like doing the work and healing your relationship with your money is so important. And it's my mission, to get myself into the hands of women who will do good with it. And you're just a beautiful example of that.
Yeah.
So where can they find you, and talk to us a little bit about your program, Arrive Your Mind, your potential group program that I'm sure we'll talk more about this week.
Yes. Again, my name is Priscilla Charles. You can find me on Instagram. That's where I'm trying to get into TikTok, but I'm mostly on Instagram right now. And that's Priscilla L. Charles. And then also Arrive Your Mind at Arrive Your Mind. That's my podcast that I have, that I love. That's like my baby. I have guests on there. I, interview anybody that has changed their life around and really has become successful by their own merit and changing the way they view things and creating healthy habits. So Arrive Your Mind, that's also the name of my 12-week program. And you can reach out to me in a DM right now on Instagram, and we can touch base on where you're at. We can discuss, if you're interested in creating healthy habits, not just losing weight and eating healthy, but including that, but overall just changing your life to becoming a better version of you, the best version of you, and a lifestyle change, not just a temporary change, but creating healthy habits that are going to, overflow in every area of your life. Reach out to me, and, we can get to know each other and see if things, match up. And if we want to work with each other, I'd be more than happy to have that conversation with each other. And then I'm working on my group coaching that'll be launching in a couple of months. And that's going to be exciting. So just go ahead and follow me on Instagram for more. So
I love it. And I'm just going to say it too. Like it's very easy to have this yo-yo lifestyle where you're doing good and then you're doing bad, you're doing good, you're doing bad. And Priscilla is the key to lasting transformation and lasting change, because you get to the root of it. Like, it's not just here's some food that you should be eating this week. It's okay, let's go into the mind so that it actually shifts the entire trajectory of your life, not just today or this week.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, my loves. Priscilla, thank you.
Thank you, Sarah.
Amazing. And if you enjoyed this episode, you guys definitely give Priscilla a follow. She is unbelievable, and she has so much value on her page and so much inspiration. So definitely give her a follow and listen to her podcast. Again, it's Arrive Your Mind. All of her links will be in the show notes, so you guys can check her out there. And if you'd enjoyed this, then go share it with somebody that you love, because they might need that little extra inspiration today. Thank you for listening, and I'll talk to you next episode.